Anyone else notice that most software you work with is dogshit? I've worked insurance, shipping, retail point of sale, warehousing software, manufacturing, you name it. It all blows really badly. I thought the tech industry was flooded with people in the last 20 years. Why is most business-facing software old and shitty? Most software I use is Windows XP era or worse. I'm guessing because no one gives a fuck about a retail or warehouse employee's UI experience. I work with companies that in aggregate have tens of billions of dollars in revenue being run through their software systems. I still hear at least once a month we are not a tech company. When asked about why they don't maintain or update their systems, it really just comes down to wanting to maximize this quarter's profit and fuck everything else. The exact same people lose their minds when things break. I am a software developer and I can say with confidence that the reason business software is hard to use is that the users of the software, employees actually doing work, have precisely zero say in the definition of requirements for that software. The features and requirements are decided on by a group of people who will never actually use the software after it is either written or licensed. Because that's a software that was used when the business first opened. And they never bother to upgrade because that would cut into profits. Cheapest they can get away with and still be functional is the way of the corporate world. Worked at one company that kept changing a particular tool cause they wouldn't fork over the big bucks for a decent program. Enterprise software isn't sold in a way that makes anyone care about the user experience for those at the bottom of the org chart. They say that yes, our software does these things, and then show the execs some pretty graphs of KPIs and metrics. In addition, rarely does anyone building software understand how a business functions or how their software is used. And the company still calls it state of the art. I did graphic design work for a company once and they insisted that I used their state of the art imaging software to create graphics for screen printing. They using Corel Draw 2 and the year this took place was 2018. The hardware is garbage too. If they're buying you the cheapest keyboard and the worst monitor, what makes you think they care what software they're outsourcing from? It's a pyramid scheme. Salesforce and Workday are ass. I work for a state agency. You think XP is bad? We just upgraded to a program from 1999. What we were using before is run on magnetic tape. Something went wrong with it, and they had to get retired people to come in and fix it. No one even knew how to work on old analog computers. Also, the vendors themselves are fucking dogshit. I can't tell you how many times I send an issue to a vendor and the person on the other side has no fucking clue how their own software works or technology in general. Because top-tier software engineers cost $500,000 a year. And aside from a few companies, no one is willing to pay that. Companies go with the cheapest bid. Rebuilding enterprise applications is incredibly expensive. Rebuilding them well is even more so. We live in a world built by the lowest bidder, but sold for the highest possible price. Lots of reasons, but most can be tracked back to a cost center overseen by an MBA that is incentivized to cut costs. I used software that was straight out of the 90s. It had 3 colors in the whole program and hated command key entries. It was for a jewelry company with probably more than 100,000 SKUs in it. One of the 2 people who built that system is dead and the other one was bothered by the company while he's retired to fix any issues with the software. They were working on upgrading for 3 years. I left their employment 6 months ago and I bet they still haven't upgraded their software. The owner was so cheap. In education, We use software designed for dentists, orthodontists, Welligent for special education services. Planning. It's a horrible joke. Try working in government. The crappiest UI on all software. A lot of these people are really old running the place. I am in construction and our office had dial-up until 2012, what a coworker told me. We use an ancient accounting software that has no website. And they file things stupidly. The computers run Windows 7 except mine since they had to buy one. For me, they are scared of upgrades or change until someone forces it into their head. Software is not sold on how well it works. It's sold on the salespeople network. Same in medical. So many facilities, HCA for example, use Meditech, which is DOS-based lol and hasn't grown up much since the late 80s. Or how the customer front end is awesome and seamless and really well laid out and easy to use. It's a work of art. The back end is a horrible interface pulled out of the 1990s and looks like something I see in those old 90s movies. THST had someone looking at a computer. And it won't run on anything other than an old Pentium 5 running Windows XP. A good portion of business software is, if not an actual spreadsheet, then similar to one in that it is some off-the-shelf package with extreme configurability, which is great in theory, but still requires some level of package-specific expertise to configure instances that don't closely match a template. Yes, totally. Maybe it's me. I'm getting older and sicker of seeing the same errors being reinvented every time. I think it's the agile development. The focus is on bringing value to shareholders, not on the actual software quality. And guess what? Shareholders are not those that will have to use the software. A manager chooses and approves a tool because of a shiny PowerPoint presentation and some bribes. It will be their peons that have to suck it up. The same goes for customers. You're asking companies to spend additional money, usually millions. The software is cheap. The SLA is what makes bank on something unproven and could introduce bugs or errors into production to replace something that they already have, has been proven to work, and is integrated into their process flow. Good luck. Because they outsourced everything to India, which I support all workers, but seems companies that do that always end up with a subpar product. There are 1,000 programs for any given company to choose from. Most mass-marketed with minimal actual use beyond what they're set up to be. Even less get consistent updates and even less users pick another program after launch. It's a free-for-all for programmers to write a program, launch it, get paid and make a different one. It's because bosses won't pay for it. They think short-term and it's cheaper for you to just deal with it than to upgrade it. And because of that, there is no demand for it. No demand means no one is developing it. The software I work with, duty rosters for hospitals and nursing homes, works quite good. But now the manufacturer wants us to switch from the native client to a web client where everything requires 5 times as many clicks. I work in auto repair and our system is basically a Windows DOS 3.1. Sure, 'cause cheap. God, when I was at Allstate they used Internet Explorer and the computers were a decade old and slow as shit. Could barely check my email. I think most companies overall just suck at keeping up with tech. Speaking as a person who has had to write some of that software, polish is expensive, and clients are barely willing to pay enough for it to be barely functional. Now if it's frivolous crap, they'll happily pay buckets. Used to work for West Marine. They had computers that were over 10 and the scanners they used to do audits aren't even made anymore. You can only get them off eBay. Lol. Was so weird to me. Another patch to our 1995 era FoxPro point of sale system.